Hey everyone.
Good to go. We can start now.
Yeah, great. Hi all. Good evening to you all. Hope I am audible. Right. Let me say my screen, then we'll start the session. Okay. All right. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So hope my screen is visible to everyone. Right. So as you guys know that today is our day one, and like we'll start from very basics as we committed. Like here we go from very basic and we'll complete all advanced level of the configuration troubleshooting of the Palo Alto firewall. Yesterday we have a very good discussion about the firewall. We understand why we need a firewall, why Palo Alto, what is the benefits, and what module we are going to cover, and all syllabus part. So whosoever is not joined like yesterday class, just go and watch the YouTube channel of the Networks King, where you'll find the yesterday class video, or might be the yesterday class recorded video will be uploaded on your portal. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining the session. And once again, welcome you all in the Networks King's Palo Alto session. And this is the day one, right? So as per the rule, as we discussed yesterday also, like if you're having any question, any like doubts, feel free to ask the question. Just unmute yourself, ask the question. If you want to write in chat, you can do that also. There is no restriction at all. It's a two-way discussion, and together we learn Palo Alto Firewall, right? So let's start the today's session, right? So again, yesterday we understand why we need a firewall, what is the benefit, so what is the different like parameter we having for the comparing the different vendor firewalls like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, ASA. We already had done very good discussion on it. We understand what the products Palo Alto offer in the market, what we are going to cover. So Strata PS series, Palo Alto series we are going to cover in this session. Prisma Access and Cortex XDR, that are a different module, which is not going to be covered, but these are the advanced and cloud level things. So might we will cover in the advanced level batch in upcoming sessions. Also, we understand what certification we can clear after doing completion of this course, PCNSA and PCNSE. I would recommend not go for this certification, just go for the PCNSE. So it's up to you. You can go both, or you can go for the direct for the PCNSE. So it's your choice. So now today we are starting our module, that is the day one. So what I'm going to do before I'm going to start this module, I'll explain some model of the Palo Alto firewall and how basically we can perform the basic configuration of the firewall. Let's suppose you are the engineer, security engineer or network engineer, whatever you are, and let's suppose you're having the assignment just to configure a brand new firewall, right? So how you are going to configure, and what all ports we have in the firewall, how we can visualize the ports, what is the role and responsibility for those ports, right? So first we'll take the visualization, how the firewall looks like, right? At least whenever you go for the configuration, anything, you just have something in your mind as an image. So you can visualize how the things is might be installed on the site or the data center, or the might be the branch location or some kind of the colo location or some kind of the hub location. what what position could be happen in the rack point of view, or what kind of the like cabling would be there, how we can take the console access of the firewall via the CLI, how we can take the GUI access, graphical user interface access via the GUI to the Palo Alto firewall. So these all things I'm going to tell in right away after doing discussion about some basic understanding about the model of the firewalls, right? So let's suppose you are going to start your career in the Palo Alto firewall. You should know some, basic models, what models available in the market. Likewise in Cisco, we having multiple models available in the market. Cisco ISR router, ASR router, CSR router, a lot of variety available, but all are doing the routings, right? But if you are going to different model, might be you'll find a different of features, different of backplane capacities. Similar in the switch also, different model of the switches available in the market from Cisco, Juniper, Brocket, HP, Huawei, whatever you think. and every switches are doing the switching, but all switches having different model, having different capacity, different of kind of the like backplane capacity. Similar in the Palo Alto firewall, we having a different model of the firewall. They start from 200 series, go 400 series, 800 series, like 3200 series, 7000 series, 5000 series. So I'm just going to tell you some brief idea what are the all model available in the market for the Palo Alto, and then we'll go and try to do the live configuration. How basically we can do the Palo Alto configuration. Before we can start this module about the single pass with the parallel processing architecture in the flow logic that we'll try to cover. Let's see how much we are going to cover, but at least we should know how to get the CLI access of firewall, how we can perform the lab things for the Palo Alto firewall, and how we can do the configuration, right? So let's go start. So if I'm going in my slide and if I'm going in this page, so we having the varieties of firewall, as I mentioned that PA200 series that come as a PA220 and 220R firewall. That is the smallest Palo Alto firewall available in the market. So I can say this is the like one of the beginner firewall, right? So if you are the very small company and you are just a startup and you just wanted to protect your network, you're having a very low employee strength, and you just want to protect your network, you can go with the very small firewalls. There is no need to buy a very high-end firewall who having the more capacity, because if you are going to buy a very high-end firewall, you need to pay more. As I mentioned yesterday class, like even in the phone scenario, if you are going to buy a high-end phones like iPhones, you have to pay more. If you want to go and want to buy some kind of the low-end phone, then you just have to pay less, like less amount. So it's up to you how basically you wanted to invest your money to purchase your products. So similar thing is going to happen in the Palo Alto firewall. So this is the PA220 series. I'll talk a little bit about the specification, what they're talking, but let me just go through about that, models. So PA220 model we have, PA400 also we have. It is not listed here, but I'm telling you, PA400 also we have, PA800 we have, right? Two model of the firewall in 800 series. You can see 820 and 850. In addition of that, we having the PA 3000 series 32 sorry 3200 series model, which having the three model of the firewall, that is a 3220, 3250, 3260 model of the firewall. In addition of that, we having a 52 series of the firewall, 52 say 100 series of the firewall. In this, we having the 5280, 5260, and 5250. So these all three models available in the market. In addition of that, we having the highest end, or I can say one of the very big firewall or very powerful firewall that's known as the 7000 series of the firewall. That's the having a two version, 7050 and 7080, right? So these all firewalls, like I can say, it can be deployed in the very big data center environment where you're having a lot of connections, a lot of sessions you have to handle, a lot of backplane capacity required to process the packets. So then you can just go and buy these firewalls and install in your data center environment. So let's talk a little bit about features of the firewalls, right? So if I'm talking about the PA220 firewalls, you can see, as I mentioned that it's like a very small firewall can be used for the small or medium kind of the enterprise or company who having a very less strength of the employee. They wanted to protect their infrastructure. We are having the very less number of network devices, right? So they can install it. So what benefits this firewall is going to offer you? So you can see they having a different parameters. As you guys see that different parameters they have. So they are talking about total throughput. The firewall having maximum is 500 Mbps, right? So the throughput that is maximum 500 Mbps, and that is for the including the app ID and all, right? And the total threat prevention throughput, right? That is we having the 150 Mbps, right? If you are just working about that IPsec tunnels, right? Then you are just having the throughput maximum is like 100 Mbps. maximum session they can handle up to 64,000. They can process session 4,200 per seconds, right? And maximum IPsec tunnels VPNs we can create on this firewall, that is 250. 3 virtual router we can create on this firewall, and maximum 15 security zone we can create, and then 250 maximum policy we can create. So those numbers are very small here, right? So numbers are very small. So you can see throughput, they are talking about the 500 Mbps, and the threat prevention throughput, they are talking about 150. IPsec maximum, you can go with the 100 Mbps. So if you want to just build the IPsec tunnel and you want to speed 150 Mbps for your company network, it is not possible, right? Because it's like 100 Mbps maximum throughput they can support, right? Okay, so I have one question from the Alok. He's asking, what is the throughput, right? So actually, the throughput is actually the rate, total actual rate, which is going to process by your router, switches, or the firewall. So that is known as the throughput, like actual upload, download, what maximum they can offer, actual thing, like. And the speed is like something is real things traveling on your network, like total speed is your data, like how fast being sent from the interface. So like you can just count in bit and bytes, so that is known as a speed. But the every device having like backplane throughput capacity, where the we can just analyze how maximum they can handle the total bandwidth over that particular interface or throughout the chassis, that is known as a throughput. And the actual traffic which is just processing through the your one of the interface, that is known as the like speed. Is it clear? So Bhargav is saying like bandwidth, we can say, right? Yes, like bandwidth is something we can configure on the interfaces, which is just allocating that interface can be processed up to that much speed, or might be that much data. So let's suppose you are configuring any of the interface that maximum capacity is 1 gig, but if you just wanted to limit that speed is just for the or bandwidth capacity for processing on that interface is 100 Mbps, you can do that. So it is just going to limit the packet processing through that interface via the bandwidth configuration. That is also possible, right? Okay, so now if I'm going through the PA200 series of the firewall, right? So PA200 series of the firewall, we having a very small of the statistics where we can see like throughput is very less, IPsec connection throughput is very less. But if I'm going out for the higher version of the firewalls, you can see like throughput is getting higher, actual how much data can process through the firewalls for the different scenario. In case of the packet processing, app ID, threat prevention processing, they all are getting higher. Even the IPsec total throughput is also getting higher. You can see 400. Earlier it was just uh, 100 only, but now even you are upgrading your firewall, it is getting a more. Maximum session 1,28,000, you can say. Per second session they can handle is 8,300 session per second they can handle, right? And maximum virtual router we can create 530 security zone we can create, and the maximum number of policy we can create, that is 1,500. So again, things is getting more like faster as compared to PA200, because we are putting up more money and you are getting the more powerful hardware, right? So it's up to you how much you are investing, how powerful hardware you are purchasing. According to that, you start getting more and more speeds, throughputs, like more and more security connections, like zone configuration, policy configuration. So everything is going to be like uh, high as compared to the lower end firewall if you're going for the higher end firewall. So you can see in this 3,200 series of the firewall, we having the more session per second, you can say 2.5 Gbps. So earlier we were talking about the Mbps, now it's become a Gbps. So you can go with the IPsec tunnel with speed of 2.5 Gbps. So that is not possible with PA like 800 series or 200 series, but if you are going for 3200 series, it is absolutely possible. SSL IPs like SSL VPN users like Global Protect, we can configure. Earlier version, it was not possible. So more feature is getting added here. You can see virtual VSYS we can configure here. Like we can split this firewall into multiple virtual firewall. In this previous version, it was not, right? So that means if you are investing more, you are getting more features. Number of security policy, it's 2500. So again, it's a more. If you go for the 5200 serial firewall, that again having that more feature. You can see the speeds are getting very high, throughput is getting very high, session are getting very high, and the virtual router and the everything is getting very high. And if you go for 7000 series, it's like a lot of like higher speed or throughput we have in this particular PS series of the firewall. So it's totally up to you. What is your need? You just have to understand your network architecture, how it looks like, how many user you want to stay in your office, where they want to connect, how what kind of application they want to use, how frequent they want to go on the internet, how many user at the same time want to go on the internet, which application they want to access, and how basically they can be protected by using the firewalls to all the session, all the users. So it's totally depend on your environment, your employee strength, your company network design. Then you can go and decide for the Palo Alto firewalls, right? So if you feel like I need this 7000 series of firewall, you can purchase it. If you think like I'm okay with 3200 series of firewall, that's okay. You can go with that also. Many of the companies just stay with the 800 or 400 also. Because if you are going to deploy every location of firewall, somewhere you find a 3200 or a 8 to 200 820 firewall, or like 400, somewhere you'll find a 5200 also. It's totally depend how your company is wanted to deploy the firewall, which location. Might be data center, you can go for the 5200. Some your hub location where maximum offices traffic is coming and employee also sitting, you can go and deploy this one. You have, if you're having the smallest small branch offices, you can go and deploy this PA 820 firewalls, right? I can see I have a few question like in lab which series we are so in lab Vargav is asking lab which series we are going to use. So lab, these are the physical firewall. In lab we are going to use the virtual firewall, that is not a physical firewall. So these are the VM series of the firewall. So exactly, let me see. Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute, guy. Let me see what happened. Just give me 1 minute. Let me just start my lab. Sorry for disruptions. Let me share my screen again. So let me see. So let's say suppose if we are talking about the lab. So let's say suppose in lab, basically we cannot install the physical firewall, so we can use the virtual firewall. So we having a different virtual firewall available. So in the Palo Alto, we can use the PA 10 series of the firewall and 9.0 series of the firewall. Any firewall we can use, and these are all the virtual firewalls. So one is the licensed one, 10 series. I'll use the licensed one. This is the unlicensed one. So we can use, and we'll try to see. The feature is going to remain same. That is not going to be changed. Only things that this is the virtual firewall, and the firewall which explaining here, they are the physical firewall. So these are the hardware based. You can see the image of the firewalls that looks like in this way. But in the virtual firewall, it can be just deploy in the servers or any of the hardwares. Like suppose you having the virtual environment where you can just deploy these all firewalls, right? So in lab, we'll use the virtual firewalls, not the physical firewall, right? What else question we have is we upgrade with software? Yes, software can be upgraded, but the backplane capacity of the hardware that cannot be upgraded. So if you are going to upgrade your software, the firewall can be upgraded with a different version of the software. They might be having some additional feature. They can avoid some kind of the bugs, some kind of the well-known signature attacks, which is not going to capture by the previous version. So that is going to be happen, but your total backplane capacity is not going to be increased because it's the hardware limitation. So upgrade is possible, that can enhance your feature, enhance your services, but that is the overall speed throughput that is not going to be changed. So that is another things. The third question I can say, Soumya Ranjan is asking, what is a threat prevention throughput? Okay, so threat prevention, like we having one of the feature in the firewall. In this feature, like we can prevent the threats, which is going to be, uh, come from the internet. So like different traffic is going to process by the firewall. So let's say suppose one of the user is trying to go on the internet via this firewall. So this firewall having the threat prevention license. So that threat prevention license having the responsibility to keep checking what kind of traffic is coming to me, and if there is a malicious like instance is going to hit, I should able to quickly able to capture those instance, and I should able to take an action on that. So if my threat prevention speed is very slow, so probably I'll not able to process all threats on very fast manners. That's why it's also very important for me. Okay. Sir, in the firewall, we can set the policy. What policy? So, Lalok, no need to worry. Policy will do the very deep discussion. So, I'll explain how this is going to be configured. So, no need to worry. Okay. So, just stay for some time. I'll explain how the policy can be configured. Okay. Because we have to do the lot of discussion about the policy and all. All right. So, we having some basic idea about the Palo Alto firewalls, but let's say suppose you want to just see how the Palo Alto look like, right? So if you go on the internet and if you try to search and go on the image, right? So if you go on the image, if you open any of the firewall, let's me open this, right? So it's very small firewall. So you guys can see. So this is the real firewall, right? So whenever you're going to purchase any of the firewall, it is going to be like deliver at your location, this kind of the box. So it's the like PA Palo Alto A20 series of the firewall. So you can see this firewall having a lot of ports. You can see like one port, two port, three port, four ports, five, six, seven, eight port, total 12 port we having, where these ports having their own responsibility on like functionality, right? These ports also we have like we known as the HA port. They having a special requirement from the Palo Alto firewall. That's why they have design here, right? These two ports also we have. One is known as the management. One is the console. You can see here. This ports also having some role and responsibility. This is like USB drive we can insert here on this particular port. This is again a C type of the console port. We having a different LED and some kind of the status we can see here, right? And this is the fan of the Palo Alto firewall. So let's understand one by one all ports. So whenever you're going to open a box of the Palo Alto firewall, you'll find exactly similar picture. Okay, so you have to just visualize how Palo Alto firewall look like. Why it is very important? At least let's say suppose you are sitting in the SOC or in the NOC and you having a responsibility to just replace one of the firewall or configure one of the firewall. How basically you are going to guide on-site engineer? Might be the person who is on site, he having a less technical knowledge. Might be he is struggling or he's not like firewall expert. He might be the router switch expert, and you just have to take work from him to just some kind of the emergency situation. Might be your firewall went down, and you wanted to check what is the LED status of the firewall. So you can just tell them, go and look at the front panel of the firewall. You'll find there is some name written, and after that, below of that, you'll find out some kind of the 6 LED is blinking there, and you can just tell me the LED status. What is the power LED status? It's the green, amber, red. So these three colors might be you'll find on the firewall. You can check the status, and you can ask what is the HA status, what is the temperature status, what is the alarm, what is the fan. So at least if everything looks green, so you can think like my firewall is behaving right. If some alarm or like alerts status is going to looks like a red, so might be you can think there is some issue with the firewall. Might be the temperature is very high. So if firewall go in a hunger state. So this could be the also scenario. So if you are the good knowledge, if you can visualize, then you can at least do some kind of the troubleshooting on the physical level on help of the on-site person. On basis of that, you can do some kind of the like further troubleshooting. But if you don't have any knowledge, probably you are going to struggle, or might be you'll go for the next level of the engineer, L3, L4, or might be some other kind of the tag level support if you don't have knowledge. So try to go with this kind of the approach. Always know what are the all ports available on the firewall and how we can do some basic troubleshooting. So these are the LEDs where we can see the status, how the power is, how fans are running, how the alarms, what is the status, the HA condition, the temperature conditions, right? Now these total ports is known as the Ethernet ports, right? So in this Ethernet port, what is going to be happen? So in this Ethernet port, we can connect, just give me 1 second. Okay, some of my pen is not working. So you can connect any of the, like if you want to connect the PC, you can connect the PC. If you want to connect the switch, you can connect the switch also. Like if you want to connect the router, you can connect the router. If you want to connect some other devices, you can connect some other devices also network because this they are the like port where we can use as a Ethernet port via the copper and via the fiber. Both you can see these can inserted by the fiber. This can be the copper. So anything if you want, you can use it here, and you can connect the different network devices. It's totally up to you how basically you want to connect here. But generally, I'm telling you, on firewall we never connect the end devices. If I'm talking about end devices, that we never connect the PCs. We never connect kind of the any kind of the WLC like AP, which is going to serve like your Wi-Fi range. Like what we connect generally, we connect like a switch. We might be connect some case of the router scenarios. This kind of the connectivity we can do via this particular ports. Even we can use this port for the HA connection also. I'll tell you how it is going to happen. So these ports can act as a HA as well. So it's totally up to you. And these ports can be configured as a layer 2, layer 3, or the HA, or might be we can configure some kind of the VLANs, and if you want to map on this port, it is also possible. If you want to configure some kind of router and stake, similar kind of configuration like .1 configuration, it's also possible. We can do it here. So these are the like core networking ports where we can configure to connect the our networks with the help of the router or with the help of the switch. So anything you can do there. So any port you can use, and it can be going to connect your network. What else? So we're having a two special port here. We can see that is the HA1 and HA2. So this is something where we can use for the high availability. So what is the high availability? So we're having a special module for this HA. So we'll cover more detail where we'll discuss the HA high availability. So what is happen? Let's say suppose in your infrastructure, we having just one firewall, right? And this firewall is connected with the internet, right? And this is your LAN. So all traffic is coming from LAN, and this is landing to this firewall, and this is the PA01 firewall. What is going to happen if this firewall goes down, right? So in this scenario, your all LAN traffic is going to be like dropped because the firewall is down. None of the traffic is going to be processed. So this is not good design for me. Okay, I'm not happy for it. So for this kind of requirement, what we can do, we can deploy the another firewall that is PA02. And in this firewall, what is going to happen? My LAN is also going to connect in this way. So even this firewall is going to be down. This firewall is going to be down. My traffic keep going via this firewall. So this is the HA. So this port is helping us to do the HA configuration. I'll tell you how it is going to happen in our actual configuration of the HA. Okay. But this port is going to be help in the HA configuration. After that, what else? So the most important thing for the any kind of the troubleshooting, for the remote troubleshooting, or in case you lost the access of the remote firewall, right? Lost remote access, right? So what is going to happen if you lost the remote access of the firewall? That means by sitting in the SOC or NOC, you are not able to access this firewall. So what you are going to take? You need a console of the firewall, right? So how the console is going to be happen? So console is basically you are going to take the access of this firewall via the CLI. So CLI, like command line interface. So there is a dedicated port where might be your field engineer is going to connect the cable from your laptop. You can see this is the like RJ45 serial cable is going to be connected with the console connections, like, and then you can take the CLI access of this firewall. So you can see at least what is happening in the firewall, what went wrong. You can do some basic troubleshooting by the help of the console, because most of the things we do in the GUI in the Palo Alto firewall, but at least we can do some kind of the basic configuration and basic troubleshooting initial level to just bring up the firewall to gain access of the GUI. I'll tell you why. I'll do the configuration from the scratch so you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Similar, this console can be also used if you having a C type of connection. So these both port are having the same role. Only the difference is like here we can use the RJ45, here we can use the C type of the connection. But both of the way we can take the CLI access of the firewall, right? But if you want to take this GUI access of the firewall, how you are going to take the GUI access of the firewall? The GUI access of the firewall is going to happen via the management port. So this management port is going to act as a like port where again you need a laptop. Might be you can use the same laptop, just remove the console cable, or might be you can connect the new laptop. Just take a cable, RJ45 cable, no special requirement, it's just RJ45 LAN cable, and connect one port here in this firewall, cable end in this firewall, one port on their PC, right? And once you do that, what you have to do, this port having already pre-configured IP, right? So you just have to put /24 IP is already there. So you just have to put here another IP 192.168.10 dot any IP 2 or might be 10, 100, whatever /24. So once you do that, you'll start pinging the firewall from this particular PC to this management port, because this IP is hard coded on this particular interface of the firewall, right? So you can start pinging from your CMD. So once you start pinging from the CMD, if you go in browser, you can try to log in the firewall, you'll get the GUI access, for which I'm going to do the lab for right now. Okay. So I'll tell you how we can take the console access of the firewall and how we can take the GUI access of the firewall. This is our lab. So till now, any question guys here? So whatever I'm telling, I'm just going to do in the practical now. Muhammad is asking, can we use the HA port as a L2, L3 ports? No, Muhammad, HA port cannot be L2, cannot be L3. This is the HA. So port roles could be L2. Let me write here. Oh. L2, L3, HA, tap, vWire. These are the 5 role of the ports. So we can use the port as L2, L3, HA, tap, or vWire. So HA could be the solely like need to be configured. L2, L3 port cannot be the HA. Okay. So now it's time to do the firewall configuration. So if I'm going to here and try to search like Palo Alto firewall configuration, right? So initial configuration. So whatever I told, you'll find here. Sorry, one thing I make a wrong statement. The IP already quoted and configured on the firewall management, that is 192.168.1.1, not 10.1. Okay, my bad. Okay, and so whenever you purchase any of the firewall, by default this management port having the IP address is 192.168.1.1, and you're just having to use the username, password, admin and admin. Okay, so how basically we are going to do? So let's say suppose, let me what we can do, let's say suppose, let me just delete this all. Okay, so let's just start from very beginning. Okay, so might be we can use later. So this is the lab, right? Once you'll get the access of the lab, probably I'll use the same lab from the next class onward. Okay, because I get the credentials, so you'll guys just feel the similar kind of the stuff. Right now this is my local lab, so from the next class I'll use the same lab, so you'll guys see how the topology is, where the lab folder is, everything will get there. Okay, but what I'm going to tell you, the exact process I'm going to tell here. So once you log into the lab, probably you can find this first lab topology. Okay, find first lab topology which I'm going to create, right? So in this lab, I need one firewall. So what I need, one firewall. So I'll go here and I'll select the firewall. That is a Palo Alto firewall. Here I have a two version of the firewall, like 10.0.0.3. That is the highest or latest version, and 9.0.4 is also a latest, but like lower than the 10. So I'll use this one, and I'll use one quantity of the firewall and just select OK. So I just taken one firewall. Now I need to configure this firewall from very scratch. This is a brand new firewall. Only difference is this firewall is virtual. This is the VM firewall, and the firewall I showed in the diagram and the picture from the Google, that's they are talking about the physical firewall. So I have to do the configuration. So I told you in this firewall we having a multiple ports. So might be on this firewall you'll find multiple ports. I'm just writing. So these all might be the Ethernet 0 by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? But still you having one of the port, which is known as the MGMT port. One port on the firewall known as the console port, right? So these ports are already here. So to taking access of the firewall, in the physical, we require the console, and we required console cable, and one required one of the PC or laptop, right? But this is in case of the physical. But right now we are in the virtual environment, so this console is not going to work for us because we cannot connect the cable, console cable, not possible to do in this lab environment. So how we can take the console? So simply to take the console, you just have to click double. Once I'll start the firewall, you just have to click double, it will come as a console. So I'll tell you how it is going to happen. But how the management port is going to be configured for the GUI access? For that, we having a provision. We can connect one PC, and on this PC, we can take the GUI access of this firewall. So let me connect one PC for the GUI access. So I'll go here and I can just use the window PC. I can just use this one. And this PC is here, right? You can see here. And once this PC is there, what I can do, I can take the cable from this firewall, I connect to the PC. But once you do that, I told you this firewall and PC, you can see this is showing the management, right? But here interface should be also a management. If you're not going to select the management interface, it is not going to work for you. It is going to take some default interface might be. So always select the management. Okay. So management, and by default, your PC having one Ethernet adapter. So you just connect it here. So we are done with the connectivity. So now this PC can talk to this firewall and can take the GUI access, but still the work is not completed, right? So how the work is going to be completed? So let's first understand how the I can take the console. Console, that means the CLI access of the firewall. So first thing, we just have to start. So I can just here and start the all nodes. So this is going to be started. So you can see the node is getting started. So now my node is getting started, right? I told you like the firewall management interface must be having this IP address pre-configured. So I'm just putting this IP address here. You can see, because as per the pre-configuration, you can see by default PS series firewall has the IP address 192.168. This is the configure uh, on the management interface. So no need to do anything. You can see simply just connect the RJ45 Ethernet cable from your computer to the management port of the firewall and go in the browser and do this IP address. So it is by default configured on the management interface. So no need to do anything. But it is just applicable for the physical world. If you're having a physical firewall, then this IP will be the configure. If you are talking about the virtual, this IP will be not configured. Very important. Okay. So just note. So the IP of this management interface, what I'm talking, whenever you're having the physical firewall, then only it is possible to already available. But if you're having the virtual firewall, this IP will be not available. Okay. So no need to worry. I'll tell you how it is going to be apply on this particular management interface for this particular IP address. Okay. So now my PC also need IP address. So I can use same series of the IP address from this range. So I can use might be one dot, might be two. I can use /24. So this is just a representation for the IP allocation. Still IP is not assigned on these interfaces, right? So what I'm going to do, I want to take the CLI access of this particular firewall. So how can I take the CLI access? That means the console access. So there is not possible, as I mentioned, I can take the CLI access via the console cable. So what I can do, you just have to double click on it. Once you double click it, you'll get the console access of the firewall. You can see already firewall is booting up. And see, this is like taking some time and booting up. So it will complete the boot up process. And once it will complete the boot up process, will get the firewall access. Okay. So we just have to wait, and I'll just click on this window machine also. And this window machine I can open. So this is like real computer, whatever you just think about it. Since there is some kind of the issue. Okay, still it is doing. Let them complete. Just wait for few seconds. Then we'll get the firewall access. So now my firewall boot up has been completed. So once you done the boot up the firewall, by default, your firewall username and password is admin and admin. Okay. So whenever you do the firewall boot up, your default username password is admin and admin. But there is one catch here again. So if you are going to work on the PS series 9's like 9.0 version, you'll get this username password admin and admin. But after the first login, you just have to change your default password from admin like to some other password, right? But before 9.0, suppose you are working on the 8.0 series of any of the version, you just have to use admin and admin, no need to change the password. So if you're working on the 9.0, you have to, after first login, you just have to change your password. Even you're working 10.0, after first login, you have to change your password, right? So in both of the scenario, in 9.0, 10.0, after first login, you just have to have change your firewall password, right? So I'm working on 10.0. So in this my scenario also, I have to change my password, but the image I am using right now, that is like not required because that is a licensed one and that is already pre-configured everything there. Okay. But in your scenario, might be you'll get that, such kind of the requirement where you have to change your password. So let me just go and check what is happening in my firewall. So if I'm going in the firewall, I'm trying to use admin username and the admin password. Probably it is showing incorrect, right? So why it is showing incorrect? Because whenever you log in first time any of the firewall, it is going to take some time, might be 5 minute 4 minute time to just complete the boot up process. It's keep taking longer time because the firewall image and OS version is very big, and it's just sync up everything. Then once everything sync up has been completely successful, then you can able to put your username and password. So we just have to wait for some time. Let me see. Still not completed. So just have to wait. No choice. Let me just do one more thing because it's taking very longer time. So what I'll do quickly, I'll just use some another version of the firewall. So just, I know sometime it's take longer time. This version take very shorter time. 10 is quite heavy, latest iOS. So I'll use the similar kind of the things here. And let me barely run this also. This firewall, I'll just start for timing. Meanwhile, let me see. It is taking still not. Admin. So whenever you're having this situation, no need to worry, just keep wait. Now it's login. You can see after a lot of unsuccessful attempt, it's taking a lot of time actually. So let me just stop it because we not required this one again. So we just focus on this one. So let me just put somewhere here. So now I'm inside of the firewall, right? You can see here. So this is the firewall, and what I told in every firewall, if you're going with a physical, this firewall management interface having pre-configured IP address, which is 192.168.1.1 on the management interface. But this is only applicable on the physical firewall, not the VM series firewall, right? So we are talking in the VM series firewall. So in my scenario, on management interface, no IP would be there. How can I verify? Just verify it in the CLI because we are doing the very basic. So now this is the screen, what I have. This is the console screen of the firewall. I've taken the console. So might be you ask your on-site engineer, hey, can you give me the console of the firewall? So if we give the console, you'll find this kind of the screen in front of you. So first command you have to run here once you take the screen. So system, and if you just put the question mark, you'll find a lot of tab, but you just have to enter the info, right? So if you put here this command, you'll find that there is one of the tab. You can see this is the host name is a PAVM. You can see IP address is unknown. This IP address is unknown. And if we having the same situation in the physical box, you'll find this IP will be configured here. So we are in the VM, so there is no IP address. So we just have to configure the same IP address on this particular interface. So how we can do that? We have to assign a manual IP assignment on this particular management interface to just achieve the configuration what actually we wanted to achieve in the lab, right? So how it is going to happen? So let me tell you before I'm going to tell some kind of the stuff. So if I'm going here and I just wanted to assign the IP address. So if I'll go in the configuration, right? So you just have to go in the configuration. This is the first step. You just have to go in the configuration. And then after you have to run the command, someone is familiar with the Juniper, they can easily recognize what I'm trying to do here. So what you have to do basically, you have to do set and then you have to run a command device config, right? And then after, if you just put a system and IP and IP address, and then you just have to put the IP is 192.168.1.1, and net mask you just wanted to put 255, 255, 255, and 0. See, my configuration is done, but there is a one problem. If I try to commit this configuration, so once you do the configuration on the Palo Alto Firewall, you're done with the configuration, but still this is not applied. To apply in the configuration, you just have to run a command, that is the commit. So we just have to run a command commit to apply this configuration. So this IP address, system IP is just system is just the management port. Just think about the management port. So this port configuration we need to apply. So we have to run the command the commit. So if I'm going to do the commit, you will see some kind of the, yes, Bargo, every time when you do the configuration, you just have to put the commit statement. So right now we are doing the CLI, but I'll tell you in the GUI, 99% configuration we are going to do in the GUI. So every time, whatever change you have to do without commit is not going to apply on the router, right? So I'll go and do the commit. This commit is not going to be successful, right? Why it is not going to successful? You will see the error here. Probably I'll get the 100% commit successful, but still my IP is not going to be assigned on the management interface. So we just have to wait because our job is in progress, commit job is in progress. So once it is going to be completed, then we'll see the result. So our IP should be reflected on the PAVM series management interface IP address. So 98% completed. So you can see the configuration has been completed successfully. You can see 100% completed. So now this IP should be reflected on my the system IP address. Let me go and check the again. So I'll exit it again, and I'll again run the command. This one, show system info, and you see still there is no IP address. You can see this is blank. My commit has been done. My configuration has been done, but still the IP is not reflected here. I have done the right thing, but still IP is not applied. What is the mistake? The mistake is this firewall VM is assigned to get IP address from DSCP, and we are putting the static. So that is the reason it is not accepting the IP address. So first we have to change this DSCP assignment to the static. Then only we can assign the IP address. So this was the mistake. So you guys be familiar while doing the very basic configuration or configuring the brand new firewall. If you find there's assignment type of DSCP, first change the assignment type DSCP from DSCP to static, then assign the IP address, then IP is going to be reflected. So let me just do the job. So I'll go here again. After going, I'll go in the configuration and I'll change this assignment type from DSCP to static. How it is going to happen? So I'll run the same command again. So set device system, set device configuration system type, I'll put the static. Once I'll do the static, the assignment type from the DSCP is going to be static. And then after I will run this command again, that is set device system IP address. And this is the IP address I wanted to assign. So I'll just do, and I'll just commit. After this, my IP should be reflected on the management interface. So I'll show you. So let's wait for commit and then we'll check. So almost we are about to done the commit process. So my commit has been done, right? So now if I'm going to out and I will just show system info, if I'm running this command, you will see now you can see both box has been changed. You can see IP is start reflecting here. You can see the IP and the assignment type from DSCP to become the static. So now the job has been done. So my IP assignment to the firewall is done as a this IP address. How can I verify in more way? So I have a command. So interface management. You can run this command, and once you run this command, you will see that on management interface, this IP is configured. So you just have to note this command. Sorry, this command. So interface management. You can see here. So interface management. If you run the command, you will see what is the management IP address. Earlier it was unknown. There was no IP address, but now it having the IP address because we just configured. No gateway we configured because it is not required. In our case, in your case, if it is required, you can configure the correct gateway where you just wanted to make the routing reachability from a remote point of view. But for our case, it is not required. So now we have done this IP assignment on the management interface. So it looks like we did this firewall as a physical firewall, brand new, which having the IP address. So now it's time to take the GUI access of this firewall. So how I can take the first condition, your PC should able to ping this IP address. If you are not able to ping, you cannot take any GUI access. So IP connectivity should be there. Without IP connectivity, you can't do anything. So how can I do the IP connectivity? My local LAN of this PC must be having the same range of the IP address, right? Then only can able to talk to this IP address. So how can I assign that? So I'll go in my PC. This is my PC. You can see here, if I am going on my PC, if I'm going on the CMD, and if I'm running the command is the IP config, you can see this having the APIPA IP address. This one having the 169 IP address, that is the APIPA IP address. This is like no in use. So first I have to change the IP address as a this one on particular interface. So how we can do that? So there is a way. I can go in the PC, I can go in the network, right? Or control panel, whatever you just think, you can go here and network interface, and then where it is. Change adapter setting, sorry for that. And then properties, right? And then this one. And here is like automatic. It's the DSCP assignment, it is there on the PC. So I'll make as a static one, and here I'll go and put the IP address 192.168.1 dot. I'll put 2. And the subnet mask, I'll put this one. You can put the gateway if you want as a firewall. If you don't want, no required. There's no gateway required. Just put this one. It's simply going to work for you because they're going to stay in the same broadcast domain. So your connectivity is going to happen. So you can see the IP will be changed. So if I'm going here again, and if I running this command ipconfig, you can see this is the IP address. Now it has been changed. So now my PC and this IP is the same range and connected with a cable. That is the RJ45 cable. So now I should able to ping from this to this. So this is my first test. If I able to do, then it's good. If not, I'm not good. Same, life is good. I'm able to ping here. Okay. So the first task has been done. My PC able to ping management interface IP address. This is your home homework as well. Once the class will be finished on this weekend, I will highly recommend to everyone just to get your lab access by talking to your representative and do this lab. This is the very important. Without doing lab, just attending the lectures, just listening the trainers, that is not going to help. You just have to make your hand dirty. You just have to invest your lot of time while doing the practicals. If you keep doing your practicals, you can easily understand the concept. But if you're not going to do the practicals, you just wanted to go with the theoretical theme and lecture and all and videos, it is not going to helpful at all. It is not going to stay longer time knowledge with you. Always knowledge stay with the lot of hard work, lot of practice, right? So just go spare some time after office hour or might be on the weekend. Just avoid some kind of the like social media stuff, some kind of the online web series, movies and all. Just focus till the time you are just learning this Palo Alto Firewall. Just focus on the Palo Alto Firewall. Make sure you will understand each and everything. Okay. So just go and do your labs. That's highly recommend. So now I'm able to ping from this PC to this firewall. So the next step, once I'm able to ping, the next step you can see here, I'm just giving this step to you all in the chat. So I just said the Palo Alto documentation, how to perform the initial configuration. You'll find there the same step, what I am just saying here, it is just written in the Palo Alto documentation also, right? So the next thing is like, I have to take the GUI access of this firewall. So basic reachability is done. So the taking the GUI access, what we have to do, you just have to do the HTTPS and this IP address from the browser of your PC. So what is my PC? This is my PC. And where is browser? This is my browser. Okay. So let me just do this one. This is my browser. This is my PC. Okay. And then I'll go here and I'll just write HTTPS, right? And then I will put the IP address 192.168.1.1. This is the IP address which is configured on the management interface. Okay. And just you have to press enter. But before putting enter, you must have to check the IP connectivity. It should be pingable. So you can see once I press the enter, it is saying that your connection is not private because your certificate is expired for this HTTPS. No need to worry. Click on advance and proceed with the unsafe. Just do this. Once you do, you'll find the Palo Alto login dashboard, right? So welcome to Palo Alto GUI. This is how you can log into the Palo Alto. And this is the like lab we have done, like how we can take the GUI access of the Palo Alto firewall and how we can configure the management IP address. So once you do that, you just have to use the username and password again. Admin is the username password, a username and password, because after the first login, you have to change the password. So whatever the password you have to change, the same password you have to use here. So in my case, I have my own password. So I just use my own password, and that you can see it is trying to log in inside of the firewall. So we just have to wait for few seconds. So you can see the Palo Alto dashboard is coming now. Okay. So Himanshu, no worry. Password of PC would be different for my case, and the lab you'll get that is a completely different. So probably I'll tell on the Monday, okay? Because I have to check what is the password of that PC. So I'll log into the your lab on the Monday, and I'll check that, okay? So this is my home lab, so I'm just doing this one. But on the Monday, I'll tell everything once I log into the system, okay? Yes, password you have to change. I have already changed because I have some license firewall. So it's already built it in such a way where the predefined password is there. Okay. So no need to worry. So you can see here, this is the firewall. This is the license firewall. I'm telling you every feature you can explore in here. Even I'm using the management like VM series of firewall, but you can see the serial number. So this is the valid serial number and this is the license firewall. And we can explore each and every feature, whatever we can see, even the monitor tabs, all logs is going to be visible. So we can see how the traffic is going to be flow in the Palo Alto firewall. Everything we can going to capture, URL filtering, threat prevention, data filtering, all thing we are going to see here in our dashboard. So once you log into the firewall, any of the firewall, you'll find similar kind of dashboard. Might be the graphics would be the change. It depends on the version of the firewall. Some OS version might be the 9 series of the software version you'll find in your scenario. In my scenario, it's a 10.0. but some case of the 9 series, some case of the 8 series, some kind of 10 series. So it's up to your environment where and how firewall is installed there and what version your company is using. But these are the like major version you'll find 9, 10 or 8, not below than that. Okay. Or majority of the location, I can say it's 9. Okay. If they not upgraded on the 10. So after logging to the firewall, you'll find different tabs: dashboard, ACC, application command center, the monitor tab, the policies tab, the objects, and the network and devices. So total we having 7 tabs, but these 7 tabs having lot of sub tabs, and every sub tabs having lot of child sub tabs where we have to do a lot of configuration. So it's not very easy to digest each and everything, but no worry, we have to go step by step, and we have to understand each tab, sub tab, and child tab step by step. What is the meaning of that tabs, and what configuration can be deployed in which section? Okay. So let me just cover out this dashboard tab today. Okay. And later we'll go and cover these all in upcoming classes. Okay. Because we're done with the lab. So let's understand about the dashboard also, right? Because we just have to understand. So once you log into the firewall, you'll find the dashboard. In dashboard, basically you'll get the different kind of the sections, like the general section. You can see the admin section, you can see the log section, you can see here like what else, uh, you can see here like system resource. These are the section by default I found when I log into the firewall without doing any effort, right? But what they are telling to me, it's a self-explanatory. So in general information, it is telling to me my device name is the PAVM. It's a predefined. I can change this name, but this is the default name of the firewall. It's saying my device name is a PAVM, and this is the management IP address which I configured, and this is the subnet mask of the management IP address. There is no gateway. There is no IPv6 configured. The default one is this one, link local. It is configured. The MAC address, the model, I told every firewall having their model. So it could be the PA2 2000, like 8 2000, 3200, 5200, 7000 series. But this is the VM model, right? What is serial number of this firewalls? This is my serial number of this firewall, right? CPU ID, UID, license, VM capacity. This is the 5.5 GB, KBM mode, software version, global protect agent, threat prevention license. Like you can see all licensing information they are showing here. And what is the time, what is the uptime of this firewall, last 24 minutes, and like other thing is like unrelevant for us, right? So these are the like basic information about the firewall I can see here in the general information. Apart from that, you can see this firewall showing me the logged in admin, who is logged in, right? You can see here who is logged in. So you can see this firewall is logged in via the web and via the CLI both. So what is a CLI? That is a console. And what is the web? That is a GUI from where I am logged in. So this firewall right now logged in via the admin user. You can see the admin user. Where I can see this is the admin user. You can see the below side from which user account you are logging. That's the admin. And here also you can see on this firewall there is two session is running right now. One is for the GUI, one is the CLI console, which I have taken here in the partition. That is a console of the firewall, and this is like what we are doing here is the GUI. So everything it is showing, and what is the session time and what is the IP of this GUI. It is saying like 192.168.1.2. This is my PC IP address. So this is also it is showing me. In addition of this, like is showing me the system resource. There is two CPU, the management plane CPU and a data plane CPU. Both CPU having their own roles. This is a very interesting, guys. I'll explain might be on Monday, okay? When I'll explain the single pass with the parallel processing. What is the function for these CPUs? So this is a very important and key thing. This firewall having a two CPUs. Ideally, any network and security device having a single CPU. Might be router, one CPU, switches, one CPU. If CPU dead, everything is going to be dead. But in the Palo Alto Firewall, it's like luxury we have. We're having a two CPU. If one CPU dead, one type traffic can be dead. And like if both is going to dead, then my firewall is going to fully dead, right? So I'll tell the reason about that. Okay, no need to worry. In addition of that, thank you so much, Himansu. And in addition of that, uh, you can see the system logs. Like these are the generic logs. We cannot correlate, but I'll tell you the how it is going to be correlate. If I do any configuration on the system, it is going to show me here. Okay, I'll show you if I'll do the configuration. I'm not doing any configuration for time being, but if I'll do the configuration, the log is going to be appear on this particular firewall dashboard. Okay, so this is all. So this is a default one, but still many things are missing on the dashboard. So you just have to go on the 𝐊𝐧𝐬𝐬𝐬. You see the four dots here, 𝐊𝐽𝐬𝐬𝐬. We having the application, we having a system, we having a logs, and the grayed out is showing on the dashboard, but is still highlighted are not showing on the dashboard. So if you want to like application, you want to check the interfaces like application, you want to check the top applications. What are the top application firewall is handling? You just click on the application. You will say top application, no data found, because your firewall is not processing any application right now. It's a like brand new firewall, no connection, no zone, no session, nothing connection is going on. So no session, no application. Top risk application, it's also no. ACC risk factor, all no, because your firewall is not doing anything. But if your firewall is doing any like all processing, you'll find the graphs here. I'll show you how it is going to look like. So you can see all application start showing in my dashboard. If I want to see, I can see in the dashboard. If I want to not see, I just simply cross it. It is going to be disappear from dashboard and it will again become the highlighter here. Similar by the system. If you go in the system, I want to see the interfaces. You can see total how many interface? 24 interface available on this firewall. All interface are white, grayed out. That means they are not down, they are not up. They are basically not configured. If it is up, it is going to be green. It's a down, it's going to be red. Okay, but they all are showing the grayed out. That means they are not configured at all. So if you want to see the interface status, you can see here. If you don't want to see, you can just close it here. It will disappear. Similarly, if you want to see the high ability, the HA is not enabled. So you cannot find any information from here. If you want to see, if you configure, you will see here. So no configuration. Similarly, if you want to see some kind of the logs, like threat logs, configure logs. So you can see that these configuration I have made. I made this configuration, right? So if you want to see who all made the latest configuration of the firewall and what is the username, I can see in the config logs, even the dashboard. So these three commands I have run, right? You guys notice I have three commands run. Basically, these two commands are the same, but I run these two commands two times. Why? Because one time I committed, one time like I have not taken. So this was the reason I run this command three times. So all configuration and the timings is showing here. So everything is like command, set, commit, path, what syntax you run from which user account and what is the time. It's everything showing here. So no need to worry about at all, right? So this is how we can see the configuration logs as well. And if you want to check what else we have, a lot of feature we have logs, URL filtering log, data filtering log. If you want to see, you can see. If you want to adjust this all, you want to see this one right side, this one. If you want don't see this one, you want to see this one left side, you can see. If you want to see this top, you simply have to drag and drop. It is going to be move anywhere. It's up to you. It's your personalized dashboard. Once you log in your user ID, you can set your personalized dashboard, how your data and what data you want to see in the first place after logging to the firewall. So this all possible in the dashboard section, right? So this is how we can see the dashboard. Guys, any question till here? Please ask question, because I almost cover like today class where I configure from zero, like scratch to the taking the console access of the firewall and the GUIX of the firewall and try to explain some basic uses of the dashboard, what the information I can see here. Yes, I have two questions. So may I ask how long firewall store the all logs? So by default, they having I believe 30 days or what. I have to check the data set. What the different model having a different capacity depend on the model of the firewall and the storage. They store the logs, but at least you can find a month data or might be the more than 2 weeks data easily on their firewall. No one need to worry. Uh, uh, Kurli Milla Prashant is asking, I have one question. What is a virtual license firewall? So, a virtual license firewall is the same firewall which I am using here. So that means like if you suppose, let's say suppose you don't want to use the physical firewall for some reason, and you want to deploy the firewall in the server where your traffic, just think in this way. Let's suppose this is your switch. This is your switch, right? And this is the router, right? And here might be you don't want to use a physical firewall here. What you want to use? You want to use, let's suppose this is your one of the server, right? This server is connected from this router to this port to this switch, this port to this switch, right? These are the switch, these are the switch, and this is the router. But inside of this server, this is your server, right? You want to install the, along with the server feature, you want to install the firewall also inside of the server. So this firewall basically, your traffic is come from the switch to the server, but it having the logical VLAN connectivity to the firewall, and that is in and out, and another connectivity to the router. So your packet will come from the switch, it will land to the firewall, it will go to the router. But your device would be the physical for the server, but inside of this physical server, you having the hypervisor, ESXi, VMware, whatever you just think, KVM. Inside of that, just you host the OVA file or like the licensed version of the Palo Alto image, which is just going the same function what the physical hardware can do. So nowadays things are moving in the cloud. So people are just talking about more in the virtualization environment. So just the same firewall, remove the hardware, just install the software version which having the same set of feature in the some additional hardware, might be the server or some other environment or cloud environment. So that's become the virtual. So the same thing you can see here, this is the 𝐊𝐬𝐧𝐠𝐬, and this 𝐊𝐬𝐧𝐬 is installed in one of the server, and inside of this 𝐊𝐬𝐧𝐬 we are using this firewall, and it is going to do the same work what the physical firewall can do. So this is a like virtual environment, we connecting the PC, this is the PC. This is doing the same thing like real thing what my laptop is doing. The same PC having the browser, I can assign the IP address, I can take the uh, internet access, but all thing basically going to happen in the virtually. This is how virtual is going to be help you. Any other question, guys, before we can wrap up?
What about the physical connection then?
Physical connection is going to be happen via the actual your NIC card of the server. So I told na, this is like, let's say suppose this is your server. In this server, let's say suppose you one side is going to the router, might be this is your router, right? Or might be this is the small switch, right? So they are basically connected with the physically to the server NIC ports, right? This is the server NIC ports, and we just having the internal VLAN mapping where they having a sub interfaces, and likewise like anything like VLAN and NIC we having, they just have the clone or like map to the physical to the virtual. So this is like how virtualization work. So no need to worry about that all. Let's suppose in the 𝐊𝐬𝐧𝐬, it's having the physical replication of the your PC NIC. Let's suppose 𝐊𝐬𝐬𝐧𝐬 installing your laptop, whatever the NIC resource you having, they just use the same resource in the virtual environment. So your traffic will come from the 𝐊𝐬𝐬𝐧𝐬 and process via the physical NIC and go to the internet. So they clone the information, they process the same port information, they bridge the information of the your configuration, whatever of your virtual system or your physical system, and through that bridge, they process all the information to go out or in. So this is how they virtualization work. So if you having a little bit idea about the virtualization in CCNP, there is a chapter in the virtualization. In there, that VLAN tagging and the virtualization, how the hypervisor is configured, what is that, how can host the VMs over the hypervisor type 1 and 2, that explain all these concepts, how basically the basic networking of the virtualization is going to happen. And this is how the cloud is growing nowadays. So this is like, I can say very useful things you guys should know. So just do some little bit research. I can tell you, I can show you, probably I'll show you how it is going to be done in the real world in the EVNG as an example, where my firewall PC NIC is going to be replicated with my the server or my the PC NICs. So I'll tell you how the bridge things is going to be happen, or NAT thing is going to be happen. Okay, and yes. Bhargav is asking like iOS and the virtual license different one, right? Or else same like iOS virtual license. Yes, the same, but like license, no, the license is something different. iOS and the software version is the same. Pan OS equal to iOS. Software version and iOS is same, but license is something different. Not iOS and license is same. Bhargav, license is something you are getting the additional feature that's come under the license.
But sir, suppose we have a lots of multiple connection in the firewall, okay? But suppose like we have at least five DMZ servers, okay, with multiple DMZ, okay. Then how we what about then how we going to connect the physical connection to the server and the firewall?
These are the
Because
5 DMG server,
server has
right?
only one or two NIC card, right?
Okay, these are the 5 DMG server, right? This is your question, right?
No, the suppose these are the multiple DMZs, not the servers.
So what do you mean DMZ? DMZ is like one of the area where your lot of server network devices can be stay. DMZ is not something like device. DMZ is like demilitarized zone. Yeah,
I know that, sir. But
yeah.
suppose we have a multiple servers should be in a different DMZ. Okay.
Okay, so
Suppose
let
we
me
have
just,
a multiple
this is one
application server.
DMZ. Okay, this is one DMZ. This is another DMZ, right? And
Correct.
you're talking in this DMZ. Let me just use some different color. In this DMZ, we having one server, we having two server, right?
Exactly correct.
We having one server, we having a two server. What is the next question then?
Okay. Then how the physical connection is going to the server and server then the firewall?
Okay, so this is a DMZ server. So might be this is one of the switch is going to be behind of this DMZ, right? So these are the physical server, right? DMZ. This is the physical. This is the physical. All are the physical, right? Okay. So this server must be connected with the switch with a physical cable.
Correct.
You agree? You agree? So these are the switch. These are the switch. Let me just draw. My drawing is a little bit. Okay. So this physical connection is done now. So now you're talking. Let's say suppose I have another server here where my firewall is hosted. Let's suppose this is my virtual firewall, right? This is the firewall, right? You just think. Okay. This is one of the server. Which server having a lot of, think about the EVNG server. They can host the PC, they can host the router, they can host the switch. Okay. So this server having some physical ports. Agree? Yes, no, maybe?
Correct.
Yeah. So this server might be having a 2-3 ports, whatever you just think, right? Or might be just think you two ports, right? So one port is going to connect with this switch, one port is going to connect with this switch. Make sense? So this switch is getting connected to the switch server, and further there is an internet, right? Just think about, and there is another port here connected, and this is going to be connected with the server. Make sense? And this correct. Is the ISP. So at least your physical connection is done, right? Physical connection is done. Now we just have to do how this firewall can use this physical connection to process the packet. Correct. This we have to do. Yeah.
In the diagram, we have created a 2 DMZ, right? Suppose we have 10 DMZ servers. Okay. DMZ, different DMZ. Okay. So is there a 10 different NIC card exist in the server only?
No. Let me just give the, this is the another DMZ, right? Another DMZ, right? This is the another DMZ, right? 5 DMZ now have, right? Okay. What we can connect? This DMZ can connect with a switch or not? Can connect?
Correct. Huh.
Switch having a multiple port. Let's connect one more DMJ. Can do that.
Correct. Huh.
These all could be the access port, which can carry the one VLAN. All agree? Access port.
So we have to create the multiple VLANs in the switch. Okay.
Yes,
And
yes. Access port. Just let me complete. Access ports.
okay.
These ports can carry single VLANs. Make sense? But once they're going out, we can make the trunk. So these start carrying the multiple VLANs, right? So this is how we can help the 2 NIC cards. We can accommodate the 610 servers, right? And the firewall, we can do the necessary configuration .1Q, whatever you want to carry. That is also possible, right? By sub interface configuration. And then further, we can go the internet via this way and access the things. Looks logical or not?
Okay. So if we create on the VLANs in the switch, and then we have to map into the firewall as well.
Yeah, we have to do. If you don't do the VLAN mapping, then how end-to-end communication is going to happen? Firewall understand the VLANs, right? .1Q
correct,
VLANs, we can do the configuration. It's possible. I'll show you. Even we having a labs where we having the. Let me show you. We having a lab. You can see multi VLANs configuration. And you can see here we having a multiple VLANs. We have to do the might be able to do secret VLAN 10, 20. They have to communicate single firewall. So this is like exactly possible. It's not like something not possible. So we just have to do. Is it clear to you? Still confused, Lakhan?
No, I'll get clear. But I'm confused with the gateway then. Suppose we have a DMZ one server.
Okay. So
which
still
IP
I'm
is
telling.
joined
Still I'm
between-
telling. See how the VLAN is going to happen. See, your gateway would be the. Let's just suppose just forget about this firewall. Replace with the router. This is router. You connect with the switch, right? One cable is connected, right? Let's suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 server connected. Let's think 10 server connected. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. How many VLANs? 5 many VLANs. 5 VLANs, right? All VLAN need to be created. 20, 30, 40, and 50 on switch. All port will be the access port. Agree? But what this port role will be the trunk.
Trunking.
And what you will do here is .1Q router and stick. You know that .1Q configurations. You have to get five sub interface. So all will gateway will be here, na? So similar thing is going to happen on the firewall. We have to create the 5 sub interface, sub .1Q interface. It's possible. I'll show you. No need to worry. Sub interface feature is possible. Similar to the router. So all gateway with the firewall.
Okay. Then we can manage the traffic between the DM. Then.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely possible. I'll show you. No need to worry. Okay. I'll show this kind of the configuration. We'll discuss. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, guys? Thank you so much, guys. You're asking very, good question. Yeah.
Sorry. Comparing to the cost, okay, virtual firewall will be coster or?
No, virtual firewall will be like cheaper than the physical firewall.
Okay, and how can you rate like 50 to 70%? 70.
I have to check the actual cost. Never purchase, but it's always be cheaper, right? Because why it's cheaper? Because first thing you just have to maintain. Yeah, you just have to not maintain the like physical infrastructures. You just have to no need to worry about the temperature, cooling for the firewall and all. Just you have to take the server or cloud where you can just deploy the install one of the instance which is going to do your job.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, one more question.
Yeah.
So on the physical connectivity of the firewall, so where should it connect from the ISP or router? It's connecting on the management interface?
No, never management interface is just for the your management, not for ISP. It always connect on the physical interface like Ethernet 0x1, Ethernet 0 to that port, not management interface. Management interface just for the management, taking the GUIX of the firewall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Still, anyone having any question, guys? Anything related to firewall, not related to firewall? Like where you use that discuss about the cloud integration also, like where we tomorrow is holiday. Yes, tomorrow is holiday. We need some good rest, but I need to do a lot of work. You guys take a good rest. Like where we will discuss about the cloud integration also. So cloud integration is something it is not possible in this EVNG platform, but I can tell you the concept how the integration is going to happen. It's like totally like if you are having the Azure AWS cloud environment or the GCP environment, then you can do the cloud integration. But here it's not possible because we are not doing the cloud-based solution. We are just discussing the enterprise-based solution. Okay. All right. So if we all good, we can close today's session. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll enjoy from Monday. Okay. Bye bye. Take care.